Buongiorno, fans. Blugoblin here. Thank you for joining me for my comic book review for the beginning of March 2012. This is going to be a short review here because I only got 4 books to cover. But I'm going to give you all a bonus here. Before we get started with the comic books, take a listen to my audio review of Justice League Doom. Enjoy. Here is my review of Justice League Doom, the newest DC animated movie. What I can say is, this movie was actually pretty good. Is this going to go down as one of my favorites? No. Don't get me wrong. I did enjoy this movie. I was highly entertained by it. But if I were to compare it to movies like Batman Under the Red Hood or Batman and Superman Apocalypse, this movie doesn't really stand up to those two, because I enjoyed, out of all these DC animated movies that I've been watching here lately, I enjoyed Justice League Doom just about as much as I enjoyed the Wonder Woman movie. You know, this is just my opinion. Will this go down as one of my favorites? No. My favorite DC animated movie of all time will always be Batman Mask of the Phantasm, with a close second being Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. What to say about this movie without spoiling hardly everything? You know, it's like, for us comic book readers, you know, we all know it's loosely based off that story arc done by Mark Waid, the Tower of Babel, and this movie was written by the late, great Dwayne McDuffie. I could never forgive myself if I didn't credit Mr. McDuffie for this. God bless you, Dwayne. We still miss you, man. The story overall was pretty good. The story involves, you know, the Justice League being hit hard where they're at their weakest due to inside plans from Batman. Yeah, I just partially gave away some of the plot, so forgive me for that. It involves the formation of the Legion of Doom, led by Vandal Savage, and I like Vandal Savage. He's a good villain. He's not one of the best, in my opinion, but he's pretty awesome. He's got his badass moments in this movie as well, especially the scene in which he, in his own way, asks Cheetah to test his immortality. That was a pretty good scene for me. Was this movie perfect? No. To me, Hal, Green Lantern, the scene in the mines where he's sitting there crying over a dead body, you know, he believes it's Carol when it's actually not. Yeah, I just spoiled that. But that scene, I didn't really like that scene with him sitting there crying for basically 20-30 minutes. That's what it seemed like. I know it probably didn't last that long, but I'm like, dude, how long have you been sitting there crying about it? Some good character development, though, from almost everyone. Very nice, especially from Batman, and it's always good to hear Kevin Conroy portray Batman. I will never get sick of that. It's always good to hear old Kevin playing the Dark Knight. Always awesome. To me, one of the villains that shined the best for me was Bane. Especially seeing what he does to Bruce in this movie. I mean, this takes place after he broke the bat, but man, what he does to Bruce in this movie is just so goddamn personal, you can't hardly stand it. And as a comic book fan, I was just nerding out for the badass villainy from this guy. Although I had to say, Bane had one of the best villain moments in the movie. His costume was just horrible. Horrible. That has to have been the worst looking Bane I have ever seen. And I've seen a lot of different styles to Bane, and man, that one was just awful. But overall, I'm not going to give away the ending, but it was a fit ending, and it was true to the character of Batman. But overall, I would say this movie is pretty good. Not one of the best. It's not one of DC's best animated movies, but I would still say give this a watch. I don't think I would recommend buying this movie, but it's definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth a rental at the very least. Give this movie a watch, and I guarantee you will be entertained. But I can't honestly say whether or not I would actually recommend buying this movie unless you're a hardcore collector. Otherwise, just be my guest. If you want to buy it, go right ahead. I'm going to give this movie, on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. It was solid. It had its flaws, but it was a solid movie, and I was entertained, and I did enjoy it. So there you go. There's my review of Justice League Doom. Alright, now that you've heard that, let's get on to the comic books, shall we? We're going to start things off with the galaxy's greatest superhero, The Amazing Spider-Man number 680. Slott and Yost are on here. Kevin Coley is back on the artwork. This was a solid issue of Amazing Spider-Man, but to me, don't get me wrong, I love Slott as a writer for Spidey, but the thing is, in some parts of this book, I didn't feel like I was reading an issue of Amazing Spider-Man. At times, I felt like I was reading an issue of Fantastic Four guest starring Spider-Man. Is just so heavily into, Spidey and Johnny. It's good to see Spidey and Johnny Storm working together. It's comedic genius, and it just didn't really feel like an issue of Amazing Spider-Man. It felt like a Marvel team-up issue or an issue of Fantastic Four guest starring Spider-Man. It involves Spidey and the Human Torch having to go out into space to, save John Jameson from a potential crisis that's been going on. And I think this is like a step toward the beginning of what could possibly be a bitchin' storyline involving the return of the Sinister Six. We see a small peek of that with cameos from Doc Ock and Mysterio in here, and the ending of the book. It was kind of a what the fuck moment, but at the same time, it feels like one of those scenarios that's been done before. It's been done a little too much sometimes. The whole I'm going to go ahead and spoil this. It's an Octobot zombie scare. It's like, how many times are we going to see zombie slaves in a comic book? It's kind of getting cliche for me. But it was a good moment to end the book on for a cliffhanger. It was a good moment. I will give it that. And this was a solid issue, but it just didn't feel like Amazing Spider-Man. Alright. Venom Goes to Hell in Venom number 13.4. This is part 5 of Circle of 4. 13.4, part 5 of Circle of 4. Yeah, okay. Rick Remender, still doing the head writing for this story. Okay. Yeah, this is basically what they're saying it is. It's, Venom, he already went to hell, and in this issue, him, Red Hulk, X-23, and the new Ghost Rider, they're coming back from hell. So the title is completely flip-flopped. It's like they went to hell in the last issue. They're coming back from hell after they made their deal with Mephisto to get a second chance in life, as long as they pledge allegiance to him or some shit or whatever. Whatever, fuck Mephisto. But the thing is, This was another solid issue of Venom, but I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. This kind of storytelling it's just not a style of story that I seriously collect. And it's not particularly my bag, but for what it was solid, very nice. Good moment, pretty decent moment involving Doc Strange and the Son of Satan and everything. Blackheart was done really well in here. A bit of a twist involving the Spirit of Vengeance powers and everything. You think it's going to go back to old Johnny Blaze, but no, it doesn't go back to Johnny Blaze, and it doesn't go back to Alejandra either. The ending, the last page, you might consider it a what the fuck moment, but I would consider it a what the hell moment. And pun fully intended there. I didn't really know what to think of the last page, because I'm thinking to myself, the conclusion of the story better explain how the fuck that happened. But to me, I think the conclusion of the story is just going to be one massive fight scene where people are going to get hurt. There's just a bunch of fists flying everywhere, hardly any storytelling. But then again, I have been proven wrong before. But for the most part, this was a solid issue of Venom, and I'd say stick with the series because it's still going pretty good. Alright. Batman Odyssey Volume 2, number 5 of 7. Wow, I gotta say, this one was actually pretty good. I've been hating on this series here lately, but Neil Adams, okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. This particular issue was actually pretty good. We still got dialogue from Batman and Robin that would never fly in today's storytelling standards. It's just too bad I don't think anybody really told Neil Adams that at all. Still get the same generic scenarios in all these issues that we've been getting throughout this entire story. Story always begins with Bruce Wayne seemingly talking to us readers while being very hairy. Despite the dialogue being semi-uncharacteristic to the characters, the dialogue in here did come off as a good solid way of telling the story and progressing the story even further. The artwork, it is Neil Adams, my favorite Batman artist of all time, but I was a fan. After reading stories like this, Neil, I'm sorry, but I liked your artwork from your prime rather than now. You can really tell Neil tried his best to match his brilliance of art from his heyday to now, and it just did not match his brilliance from the old days. But he does try, and I really do see that in here. A bit of a shocking twist with the king, involving the king of the underworld tribe that Batman and Jamaroth Bach are confronting in here, involving the king's word is his bond, and man, was that ever put to the test in here. And unfortunately, the king had to make a humongous sacrifice in order to keep that bond in his word, and it was a bit of a jaw-dropping moment. But overall, this book was actually it was pretty good. I'll give it an honest credibility and say, it was all right. All right, now time for the pick of the week. The pick of the week is, remember, it's the book I enjoy reading out of all the books I get. Then again, this book was not perfect, but I did enjoy it. Justice League number 6. This is the conclusion to the first story arc involving the Justice League. I guess now that this is done, we're going to go into the present time. Because remember, this takes place 5 years prior to where we are now in the current New 52 universe. And for a conclusion, Jeb Johns, he doesn't get a complete thumbs up. He gets more of right about there. He doesn't hit a home run. He more like gets an RBI. I love Jim Lee's artwork, but I don't like what that cover represents. That cover is a total misrepresentation of this conclusion of the story. The cover suggests that the League gives up and bows down to Darkseid. That's bullshit. So for that, I don't like the cover. I love the artwork, but I just don't like what the cover represents. It's like, does the Justice League give up? I don't like that kind of misleading. And, you know, it's nice to see that the League can stand up to Darkseid, of all people, for their first fight together. But it at the same time, that kind of diminishes some of the badassery that Darkseid is known for. You know, last time I checked, Darkseid wasn't so headstrong to go in and, you know, take care of his dirty work himself. He would usually send in his pawns or somebody that he doesn't give a shit about to go in and fight his battles for him. You know, and he was always, you know, he always seemed a little more intelligent than that. I mean, he's the ruler. He's basically God of Apocalypse. Why should he have to get his hands dirty so goddamn quick? It kind of diminishes his character just a little bit, but he still is that badass villain that we all know and love. And the fact that the League is able to tank him down on a temporary basis, but they do tank him down without actually acknowledging that they're a full-fledged team and they're not exactly being friendly with each other, and the fact that they're kind of at odds with each other, yet they're still able to take down Darkseid, that's also a bit of a flaw in my opinion. And another flaw is that the end scene, the line from Barry Allen involving the whole so-called Super 7 thing, that was funny. But seeing Batman in a widely lit press conference in broad daylight, that's a complete and miserable flaw for the character development of Batman, in my opinion. That's the kind of shit that could be pulled off during the Silver Age. Not here. Other than that, despite those flaws, I'm just doing some minor nitpicking. Despite that, we do get some bitchin' action, some good storytelling throughout the book, and of course Jim Lee's artwork still is always good in my book. This was really impressive. I was entertained. I did enjoy reading this. The flaws in here were minimum, but they were very noticeable. This book was not perfect, but I did enjoy it. It's a nice and fitting conclusion to the first story arc for this title. And I would suggest, if you didn't jump on board with Justice League, now would be the time to do it, since they're about to start their next story. So there you go. My pick of the week is Justice League number 6. Well, that's all I got for this week, everybody. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter or on Tumblr. And until next time, everyone, I'll see you later.